Well, everybody, first autocross day. So I'm here. We are going to give this thing a little test. We're going to do 8 runs today at the autocross course. So, by the way, welcome to the Cobra Daytona build. So hang out. We're going to see how this car actually behaves on the autocross course. I have no idea. You can't push it on the street to actually test it. So we're going to see what happens out here. I'll have in-car camera video footage going. I really have no way to get anything outside, but I'll get from different angles. So thanks again for following along, and this should be fun. Hello everybody, so the autocross is now done. I figured I would give you some of my thoughts and opinions on the car in the autocross venue. I've not autocrossed in about a year, well actually no, maybe 6 months ago in the Miata. Totally different animal. Foot to the floor, let her fly. I haven't driven a high horsepower car in the autocross in about 2 years since I had my Cobra. And that thing was a handful. My first session out in this thing, it was a handful. My buddy was with me and he said, man, this thing is all over the place. I think there were 2 reasons for that. 1, the tires were cold, and 2, I think I still had mold release on the tires because the tires pretty much had been street miled for maybe 30, 40 miles, and that was it. So I'm thinking that might have been the issue because by the second session, it cleaned up a lot, started to stick. By the third, it got better, and then I could start putting some power down because the rears were breaking loose pretty easy. So the car is wickedly quick. It is such a brutal beast. It is truly a race car for the street. But on that point there, they did warn me after session 4 that I'm breaking every sound barrier out there. I was 107 decibels at maybe half throttle at the start. So they told me don't come back again. We'll let you finish up the day unless I fix my exhaust. So that's going to be the next month or 2 project is to quiet this thing down somehow. Don't know how yet, but I'm looking into it. But other than that, the car was a beast. By session 3 or 4, I could pretty much throw this into any corner. And I'm no good driver, don't get me wrong. So I am not an autocross expert. I've got maybe a dozen under my belt in multiple different cars. But this one I intend to autocross a lot. But by this end of the sessions, there's no understeer at all, no oversteer. Car felt really balanced. But if I wanted to kick the rear out, I could. And I really started to get better coming out of the corners, kind of getting the car to rotate with the throttle. Which was a nice thing. The bad thing about my Cobra is the throttle it was almost too sensitive, and you'd go to give it some gas and the motor really kind of, almost like a turbo almost. I think it was all in the tuning. This one, I can really roll into it pretty good and start to get the car to rotate. So more controllable in that regard. As I said, never had one chance I thought was spinning out other than that first lap. The first lap, I mean, I remember the first braking zone I came into and the car just kind of did this. And it was like, oh my gosh, this thing's out of control. But as I said, after a couple laps, it really settled down, and loving it. First lap, I thought this thing's a POS, and I'm going to hate this car. So time-wise, I ended up right up there with most of the high-end Corvettes. I was next to a guy with a ZR1, and him and I were within a tenth of each other. I was 1 second behind a 2020 Porsche GT4, a guy autocrosses a lot on super sticky tires. 1 second behind that guy. 2 seconds ahead of me was a full prep Porsche. I think it was a GT3 race car. Thing sounded wicked. So I'm pretty happy with it because I've never done that well. I was right up there, I think, pretty much the upper portion of the grid. So, and that was my first time out. So there's a lot more to go in this car because I was giving up a lot of time. I think I could drop a second pretty quickly just by driver and maybe more. So car was great. I still had some tire rubbing in the rear. With two guys in the car, it would just barely touch that inner bar. So I'm going to try a 1/4 inch spacer. I think it'll kick the wheel out to where the angle on that bar changes. It should stop that. Or I could put some heavier springs in. It didn't rub by myself. Only when I had another 180 pounds, 200 pounds. Sorry, Nick, but I think you're closer to 200 than anything. But other than that, it didn't rub. Other than that, it ran great. I still got this little issue. If it's been sitting for about an hour and a half, it fires up when it's kind of warm, but not really. And then it kind of runs rough for about 10 or 15 seconds, like the computer doesn't know what to do, and then it smooths right back out. I may work with Lund some more on that. I don't know. We'll see. I think that's about all I had for this. But other than that, it was a great, fun day. So throw up a couple little videos here. Make them quick and short and sweet. Sorry about the one. Someone took one of the car out in the track, and then it got text to someone else, and then to me, and then I'm trying to put it up. So it's really grainy. But you can actually see the car on the track instead of just from the driver's perspective. So thanks again. Hit subscribe, and there'll be more. As I said, autocross season's pretty much winding down now for the next couple months, but it gives me a chance to kind of work on the exhaust because I got to get this thing quieter. So everyone did say it sounded wicked out there, though. I mean, I had many people walked over and said, man, this thing sounds awesome out there. So thanks again for watching. Hit subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Cobra Daytona build.